Is Dallas having the worst 2 weeks in NBA history? Because even with a win, the latest injury update might mean they are. Plus multiple 40-point performances on the getaway night in the NBA. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Let's go.
When that final buzzer rings, you know it's time for Locked On NBA Game Night. All the post-game reactions to every game across the league, every single night, with insights only the hosts at Locked On can provide. It's the true NBA fans' one stop for all the action. Every game, every night. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. Tipping off now.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On NBA Game Night. Every game, every night. Brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. On Fridays, I'm your usual co-host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, and the host of Locked On Pelicans.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, and host of Locked On Celtics.
Happy Valentine's Day, John.
Oh, happy Valentine's Day.
We'll give out some Valentines actually maybe in the third segment. We should have probably planned that out before we started recording, as I just realized. But, well, let's give some out maybe too here. A fun night in the association here. Only 5 games. This is normally a really quiet night in the league. This is the getaway night. All-star stuff next weekend. Everyone played the night before, this weekend. Everyone played the night before. No one wants to play. They either want to get to their vacations or they got to get out to the Bay Area. It was really fun, though, actually.
Yeah, look, it is a tough night for, some teams. They want to get out and be like, okay, we're done. We need the break. And we saw some of that in this. But, hey, couple of overtime games. This is like look, doesn't matter what it is. If there's an NBA game on, there's the potential for either hilarity or something fun happening. And we got some of that.
Absolutely. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet here. So let's get started and start talking about the games here because these were pretty fun. And let's start with the Dallas Mavericks beating the Miami Heat 118-113. We'll go to Nick Angstad before we get to the injury news that probably overshadows this one.
Doesn't matter who puts on the jerseys. These Dallas Mavericks fight every single night. 7 of their top 11 rotation players didn't play in this game against the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat were missing a bunch of guys too, but they did have an all-star in Tyler Herro. Dante Exum led the way for the Mavericks, 27 points in a hilarious game. He had a dust-up with Davion Mitchell at one point in the game, and every single time Davion was guarding him afterwards, he decided, I'm going to go at him right to the rim, got at him, and scored 11 of 13 from the field, hit 2 threes and a couple of free throws as well for Dante, and 19 points, 5 boards, 5 assists from Max Christie as well. He hit a really tough clutch bucket late, about a minute left to put the Mavs up 4. That was a huge moment. He has just been absolutely great for the Dallas Mavericks since the trade. One of the few bright spots in that hilarious thing. Spencer Dinwiddie, 18 points in the start as well, 6 assists. Had a pretty rough first half, but still produced. The Mavericks just needed some scoring in some way. They weren't going to get it from anywhere else, and they got it from him. Great game for the Dallas Mavericks going into the All-Star break.
Can I just make note of his eye roll when he said All-Star Tyler Herro?
Yes. Tyler Herro, 40 points on the night for the Miami Heat here. We'll get to them in a second, but it came out right after the game that Daniel Gafford has sustained a grade 3 right MCL sprain, which is going to cause him to miss at least 6 weeks. So they are now without Anthony Davis, Derek Lively II, and Daniel Gafford. That injury overshadows this. Like, good win for the Mavs, don't get me wrong, but what you going to do with the center spot?
Yeah. That is absolute, the worst luck. Trying to do their best Pelicans impression of like horrible injury luck. Sorry, Jake. But the Mavs, look, this has been just stomp on them while they're down. If it wasn't for Max Christie, this would be the absolute 2 worst weeks a franchise has ever encountered. And Max Christie is only just like, he's giving them like a glimmer of hope. It's you're in the seas after the Titanic has sunk, and Max Christie is like one of those little like floating donuts. That's at least there's something out there, but man, it is not good.
Is there room for Jack on there, or are you gonna kick him
done.
off and he's staying in the water?
Nope. There's no door, there's no jack, there's no nothing. It's just that little donut that's Max Christie, and that's it for Dallas. Yeah, man, this is tough times for the Mavs, and considering how the West looks, the hopes are fading. They're only 3 games from falling out of the play-in. Yep. And I mean, again, Max Christie's a nice story, but I think after the All-Star break, the little juice of the post-trade starts to go away and reality sets in.
Yeah, you feels like you're going to see them fade if they can't just tread water, and even 500 might not be good enough here. On the flip side, you talked about Max Christie kind of being all they had here. All that was there for the Miami Heat was Tyler Herro with the 40 ball on the night, and no one else got to 20 points in this one. No, they're a weird team.
No Bam.
Yeah, that hurts.
No Terry Rozier, no Andrew Wiggins. Everybody's sick. But look, Miami, there's something about this, like the magic is gone. The post Jimmy Butler trade, like I'm not really high on what Jimmy Butler has become, even though we'll talk about him in the Warriors coming up. He was the engine, the Heat culture engine. His attitude, his swag did mean something for Miami. And now that that's gone, it feels kind of, I don't know. It doesn't feel like there's any kind of
they're like
there, right? Like
their aura, their mystique, that belief of like they'll figure it out is gone. Right. They've been able to figure it out. But like, this is like the type of thing where it's like, oh, like the armor's broken. Right. Like this is where you lose faith, you lose trust in this team, and it leaves them feeling very directionless, in my opinion. Is Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro like a championship contending duo? And I don't think the answer to that is yes. That's not a great position to be in. And then it's compounded by the fact that they're the Miami Heat. A rebuild? Absolutely not, right? Like, you figure they're going to try and make a move for Kevin Durant or something over the summer, maybe.
But look, I'm going to push back on that notion real hard. In the second apron era, that like the Lakers, the Lakers might be the only team immune from it, but everybody rebuilds now. Everybody rebuilds. This whole kind of like thump your chest like, oh yeah, we don't rebuild here. But like, yeah, I'm sorry to tell you that every team in the second apron era is going to have to rebuild. That's the entire point of the second apron, to tear down the good teams so you don't have a 10-year run. It's intended to make like the good teams are great, and then they get too expensive, and then they have to start selling off pieces. It's hard unless you have Victor Wembanyama to have like a sustained run. Maybe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can give you a little bit of a sustained run, but after a while, even OKC is going to get super expensive, and they're going to have to start moving pieces. So I hate to tell you, Miami, prepare yourselves for a rebuild. Like, maybe they can go get Kevin Durant, but like, so what? Like, so what?
He's not winning in Phoenix. If you put him with maybe a worse roster, maybe a better, who knows? How much are they going to be elevated?
I love Kevin Durant, but what does he do with this Miami team? What does he do with this team? Like, he's going to be good, but he's not. It's not like you're getting prime KD. Like, I'm sorry, man. Like, Miami has to just be smart about this and say, instead of trying like this retool on the fly, what Miami's going to end up doing if they do that is they're just going to wallow in mediocrity.
You just tread water again. Yeah, you just tread water and kind of be a middle of the road team. So you mentioned Jimmy Butler. Let's go quickly to the next game here on the slate, and that is the Golden State Warriors beating the Houston Rockets 105-98. This was a pretty ugly game. Both teams just shot super badly in this one. Jimmy Butler, 6 of 15. That's not great. 19 points on the night. Steph Curry with 27. The Golden State Warriors get the win despite shooting 26.8% from three. And that's because the Rockets just shot 41% from the field overall. Just bad basketball. Let's go over to Jackson Gatlin and Locked On Rockets for their perspective.
Ime Udoka sent a clear message to the Houston Rockets starters in their 105-98 loss against the Golden State Warriors. Effort is non-negotiable. What's up? This is Jackson Gatlin, host of Locked On Rockets. And man, kind of felt like the Rockets were getting their mojo back a little bit with the win against the Phoenix Suns. And then you go out and have whatever this performance was against the Warriors. The starters looked disinterested, not putting forth the right effort, making mistake after mistake. A pair of really ugly turnovers just before halftime, one of them being completely unforced, led Ime Udoka to do a full 5-man line change with 2 minutes left in the second quarter. And then the starters still didn't get the message. Ime came back, gave him a chance at the top of the third quarter. The lead ballooned all the way up to 24, and then he went deep into his bench, brought the reserves in, and those reserves, the stay-ready crew for the Houston Rockets, managed to cut the lead all the way down to just 2 points. They trailed by as many as 24 in this game. When asked after the game if he thought about going back to the starters at any point once the game was within striking distance, he said no, not at all. The starters, in particular, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, and Alperen Sengun are going to have a lot to think about over the All-Star break.
Not a fan of the getaway night. Ime Udoka right there.
No, look, for a young team that they just went on a 6-game losing streak. They had been second in the West. Now they were fourth. It's very easy to slide. That's a team that, sure, may have been overachieving for a little bit, but they have to get the message that the reason you were the second seed is because of the effort. You cannot get too full of yourself. You cannot get too caught up in what you have accomplished because you haven't done a damn thing until you win the damn thing. And so that you can't let a young team fall into the trappings of this is what the Warriors do. This is what those veteran teams, they can get away with the getaway day blues. The Rockets, they are not there yet. And so I applaud Ime Udoka for sending that message. I expect the Rockets to come out of the break having chewed on this and maybe start the second portion of the season maybe a little bit stronger and maybe they can get back on track.
Yeah. I'm making Locked On Rockets my second listen today because I think that's such an interesting kind of dynamic from this team. Y'all probably should as well. So coming up, CJ McCollum with a 40-point game. Norm Powell, one of my favorite players in the league right now, with a 40-point game in overtime. We told you it was a fun night. Thursday night. We're going to cover it coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by DoorDash. NBA fans, get ready. They swoosh, you save. Thanks to Dash Pass, every time a player drops 50 or more in a game, you score a huge deal the next day. And it's really simple. When any player scores 50 or more in a game during the 2024-2025 NBA regular season, Dash Pass members get 50% off an order up to $10 off the next day from noon until midnight. So after an epic 50-point performance, celebrate by ordering wings, pizza, or burgers from your favorite spot delivered straight to your door. Maybe you're up late watching highlights from the night before, and you just need a late night snack. Use Dash Pass to grab something delicious while saving big. Or maybe you're tired from watching that 50-point performance the night before. You need lunch on the go. With Dash Pass, you get your favorite meals with zero delivery fees and reduced service fees. Plus, now you save even more with this exclusive NBA offer. So sign up for Dash Pass and be ready to save. When any player scores 50 or more in a game, Dash Pass members get 50% off and order the next day up to $10. Just use promo code NBA50 from noon to midnight after a 50-point game on eligible orders at participating merchants. Must have an active Dash Pass account. Terms apply. Visit DoorDash to learn more. And thank you for making it Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Sunday covering every single game in the association this season. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Go check out the Locked On newsletter for your favorite team, whether it's Locked On Pelicans, Locked On Celtics. Just go to LockedOnDaily.com, put your email in. Once you click on the logo of your favorite team, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. I'm going to have a fun newsletter on Locked On Pelicans because CJ McCollum just had himself a night against the Sacramento Kings in a 140-133, finally an offensive game here. Overtime win. The Pelicans withstood a 15-0 run in the first half of this game from the Sacramento Kings. CJ McCollum, John, at halftime had 6 points. finished with 43, 37 in the second half and overtime here. It's just a pretty impressive performance. I said on my show, this is why the Pelicans didn't trade him. He looks like an obvious trade candidate. Maybe the Pels need to blow it up. I'm curious your perspective on that. But if they want to be competitive next year, this is a dude that gives you a little bit of Zion Williamson insurance. If Zion's not playing, can he bring offense like this? And yes, he can. Particularly impressive on the second night of a back-to-back, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the question is for New Orleans, what are you doing? Like, that's the thing.
Great question, isn't it?
What are you doing? What are you doing? Like, if you're trying to be competitive, okay, great. But what's competitive? What does that do? What do you do with Zion is the question. And like, this is nice. Like, you got to get these wins every once in a while.
They were on a 10-game losing streak going into this one too.
Yeah, like you need to get a few wins. I know that, you know, it's been the season from hell. Like this is one of the most cursed seasons I've ever seen in the NBA. Like, you'd think, like, in New Orleans, some witch doctor somewhere can be contacted to try to get to try to exercise some of these demons. But
I literally have a voodoo priestess's cell phone number like in my phone.
Of course you do. Of course you do. Like, that is like, it sounds like an outrageous thing to say, but you live in New Orleans.
No, it's literally a thing.
Doesn't everybody have a voodoo priestess's number? Like,
pretty much.
Of course. So nah, man, I just feel like I feel bad. I really genuinely feel bad for Pels fans. You thought you had
on paper it was a talented team, and then you didn't get 1 minute. You did not get one single minute of Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, and DeJounte Murray playing together this season.
That's like, it's brutal. So what do you do?
So here's the compounding factor into this. If you want like kind of the big picture take on it with the Pelicans is their plan is let's be competitive next year, right? Like Zion is playing limited minutes, not playing back-to-backs because there's no reason to do that right now. If he's playing incredible in limited minutes, that you put up 40 in like 27 minutes of action the other night, like that's not an easy thing to do, right? The problem is, so in theory, yeah, you just get healthy, you do a gap year, you draft high, then you go and be competitive next season. The problem is DeJounte Murray is going to miss the first 2 months of the season minimum, coming back from an ACL tear. It was against Boston, your team, right? You texted me immediately after that. Yeah. You know, if he was going to be ready game one, that might be something, but are you going to struggle without your starting point guard for 2 months? And if you are, you're already just going to be behind and the playoffs might be out of reach. So is it better than to just trade Zion, blow it up, knowing that you're just not going to be as good as you thought you were going to be because of that injury? Season from hell. That's like a really great way to describe it here. You know who's go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, these are both teams that have the same question. What the hell are you doing? What are you doing? And it's two different situations, but you can ask the Kings the same question. They're 28-27. Like, what are you doing in Sacramento?
Very good question. Sabonis, by the way, is awesome. 22 points from him, 28 rebounds in this one, and 5 assists.
Buddy,
who's not?
13 offensive rebounds. 13.
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay, I'll stop.
Who's kind of having a pretty awesome season, in my opinion, is the Los Angeles Clippers. I thought they were going to be real bad this year.
You did.
Real bad this year. I was really down on them, and I was completely wrong, and my Clippers friends let me know. They just beat the Utah Jazz in overtime, 120-116. We'll get into Norm Powell and how awesome he's been with 41 points in this one. You watched this one closer than I did. I need to ask you this question. What the heck happened in the fourth quarter? The Clippers won this quarter 22-13. It was a combined 35 points in a quarter in a game that went to overtime. What?
Yeah, the Jazz are not good. And
True.
The Jazz in the fourth quarter, here are the numbers. 3 of 11, 0 of 5 from 3, 7 turnovers, and that's what happened. They scored 13 points. They're just, some make miss, some sloppiness, some good defense. Like it's a little mix of everything there in the fourth quarter. But the Jazz did their best to try to lose this game in regulation. They couldn't quite do it. But yeah, that's what else you need to say about the Jazz. Like I got a question.
We're gonna play real or fake too, because let's
real
switch
or
it to the Clippers here, right? Let's get to them, and it was Norm Powell having a 41-point game. He's been awesome this year. Real or fake? Is he an all-star snub?
Yeah. I'm gonna say real. I'm gonna say real.
I think it is.
I'm gonna say real because this was his one opportunity.
Yeah.
And like he's been having such a great season that okay, you want to go with James Harden, okay, I get it. But how about like let's reward the guy. Let's reward this guy. Like James Harden doesn't need anything else.
Should Devin Booker have made it over him? Their points per game are pretty close, and like the winning to me matters. The Clippers are 30-23, and look, Harden's been good this year, but they've done this without Kawhi for the most part, and it's been Norm Powell as their most consistent guy this season.
I would say that Norm deserved the All-Star.
Yeah, he's in the 3-point contest, but
look, I really do believe that if it's anywhere close in this situation, give it to the guy who isn't going to get back there, right? Like Norm Powell, this is just an incredible season. I don't know that he's going to have like this. Like, I don't think he's turned some kind of corner and is going to be this. No. It's just a magic season for him. Some guys just have a touched by God season. And so give it to him. Like James Harden does not need another All-Star game. Give it to the guy who can use it and be like, hey, I was an All-Star one. Like,
he's been really, really good this year. Like he should be more in the conversation for most improved player. He won't win. He's not like in the conversation, which is kind of weird to me. Harden, by the way, 32 points, 10 rebounds in this one. I'm with you. It's an all-star.
We're talking about a guy. Yeah. Harden had 32, 10, and 7.
He's still good. He's still good. Like I don't want to like
blocks. Like it's like okay.
Like totally good game from him. But like I said, fun night. Just watching Norm Powell do Norm Powell things was pretty fun to be able to see here. So one more game. We got 2 more clips to tell you. We'll talk a little all-star. We'll get you out of here in under 30 minutes or less on Locked On NBA Game Night, especially when we got 5 games. It's coming up here next in today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. Today's episode of Locked On NBA Game Night is brought to you by FanDuel. When the games tip off, the NBA action is just getting started, and there's no better place to get in on it than FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. With FanDuel, you can place live bets throughout the game. So even if you miss the opening tip-off or you want to bet on a fourth quarter comeback, you can stay in the action. And if you're looking for a bigger payout, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay. So I love the live betting feature because it just keeps every moment of the game more interesting, more exciting. Whether you're backing your team for a late-game rally or picking a player to hit a clutch 3, you never miss your chance. They've got all-star odds for you. If you want to get in on the 3-point contest action, Damian Lillard's the favorite, right? If you want to get in on the dunk contest, McCollum is the favorite to go with his 3-peat by a good bit. He's -210 here. You can even get in on the all-star MVP. Steph Curry at +500. Looks pretty good given it's in the Bay Area. So make the All-Star weekend more exciting with FanDuel. And right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your shot at $150 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. And thank you for making it Locked On NBA Game Night your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Sunday covering literally every single game in the association all year long. And for your second listen, go make it your favorite team. I'm going to be listening to Locked On Rockets as my second listen today. I also might tune in to Locked On Thunder because what the heck happened, John, to the Oklahoma City Thunder in this one? They didn't really look like themselves. Rylan Stiles of Locked On Thunder agrees.
The Oklahoma City Thunder fall to the Minnesota Timberwolves in a game in which the Thunder were unrecognizable. It was a rare game where the Thunder just were the team that wanted it less than their opposition. It was the rare game where Shea was bad tonight, 24 points on 21% shooting, not even close to the banner night heading into the All-Star weekend that Shea would want defensively. This historic defense let up way too many easy looks. way too many easy attempts from Minnesota that they capitalized on it. Both teams dealt with mega injuries tonight, and Minnesota was better at it than the Thunder at handling that adversity, which throughout this year, given their 10-loss record now, the Thunder have shown you that they're a better team dealing with injury adversity, as they've had Chet be in and out of the lineup, and he's missed games up until last week since November 10th, every single one of them. They've had Caruso, they've had Hartenstein in and out of the lineup, and they've been able to win games still. Tonight they couldn't do it. But at the end of the day, it's no surprise they couldn't win a game with all those things working against them. And how often will all those things work against them? Probably not much. So you just kind of have to chalk it up as a schedule loss, playing 5 games in 7 days, which many teams around the NBA are dealing with.
Getaway night in the NBA, huh?
Getaway night comes for everybody.
I don't know if most people realize, like, these players, even the people who work for the teams, are very much looking forward to their vacations for the next 3 to 5 days, depending on who they are. Like, these guys, there's so many of them who literally probably went from their arenas tonight, like, straight to the private plane, and they're like, I'll be in Cancun by midnight.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Like, it's so funny. Jason Tatum is like, he takes a long time after games. So he takes, like, he goes through treatment and a post-game lift and all that other stuff. We wait for over an hour for Tatum to come out and talk to us. In this game, like, heading into the All-Star break, he was out in like half an hour, like half the time. Because it's like, I gotta catch a plane. I gotta get out to San Francisco or get to someplace. I'm gonna go to a beach for a couple of days before I do this stuff for the All-Star. So yeah, these guys, they're all thinking it. All of their, wives and girlfriends have already got the plans. They got bags packed. Listen, it's hard. It's hard to do. And 5 games in 7 nights, that's hard to do.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, like, honestly, as, a team that's not the Oklahoma City Thunder, like, covering that, it's good to see, oh, okay, they're normal. Like it's like Ivan Drago. Like, he bleeds. He's a human. They're human. They are susceptible to some of the same things that other teams have been susceptible to. So, like, they're having an amazing season, winning 80+% of their games. This one,
yeah, no, don't stress about it. Like, whatever. Let's get the Locked On Wolves perspective here too.
The Timberwolves pull out the win against the mighty OKC Thunder on Thursday night. I'm Ben Beacon, host of the Locked On Wolves podcast. Second night of a back-to-back for Minnesota after losing to the Giannis-less and Lillard-less Bucks the night prior. The Wolves come out with no Mike Conley, no Julius Randle, no Dante DiVincenzo, and no Rudy Gobert, and they still managed to beat the Thunder despite missing 4 of their top 7 rotation players. Naz Reid was phenomenal, had 27, 13, and 7. Ant was good enough. He had a monster dunk in the first half, a couple of threes late to put away the Thunder. Wasn't efficient, but he had 23, 8, and 7. And Jalen Clark getting his first career start. Not much to write home about in the box score, but did a fantastic job on SGA in this one as the Wolves force SGA to take 21 shots to get his 24 points. And a really impressive win for Minnesota, kind of a microcosm of the season. A bad loss Wednesday, a great loss Thursday headed into the All-Star break. Make sure to subscribe to Locked On Wolves for all things Timberwolves.
That puts it so much more in perspective for OKC if they were just like, we want a break here. Missing 4 of the top 7 rotation players for Minnesota right there. All right, John, let's go a little lightning round really quickly. We got the All-Star game coming up. I'm looking forward to all of this. Let's have a little more fun here with it. Who's your 3-point contest winner in this one?
I'm going off the board. I'm going, you know what? I'm going Norm Powell. We just talked about him. Let's go Norm Powell.
Norm Powell plus 650 per FanDuel. Those are pretty good odds. Now I can't take him, so that's kind of annoying because I definitely would. You know what? I'm going to take Cade Cunningham at plus 1200. Like,
I was gonna, but then I because of the Norm conversation, I'm like, I'm gonna go with Norm. I ain't going Norm.
You taking anyone other than Mac McClung for the dunk contest?
No,
that's.
No,
love
because
him.
he's got nothing to lose. He's got nothing to lose. Like, he's not even an NBA player. It is kind of sad that the best dunker out there is a G League guy. But
yeah, I kind of hate it.
It's, that's where we are. As long as it's a good show, but I gotta go with Mac McClung. I just want to see some creativity. I don't know. It's tough.
It's tough.
Is there a dunk we haven't seen? I was watching.
We'll find out Saturday.
I was watching some old NBA TV, like old slam dunk contests, and like guys like in the early '80s, just doing like, oh, I'm just gonna do a 360, and people are like, oh,
like,
it's 360.
Once Blake Griffin jumped over a car, it like signified like a change in the dunk contest. If you go back, I've seen a couple videos where it's like all the perfect 10s in dunk contest history, and some of those old ones you're like, what? That got a 10? Yeah, and then it's like props helps you here. All right, final one. Skills challenge winner. Which team's taking it here?
I don't know. Skills challenge.
Team Cavs, Team Spurs, Team Warriors, Team Rookies.
I'm gonna go Team Rookies.
I like that. They're plus 430 per FanDuel here. Give me the Cavs. They're the favorite. Plus 200. That's a good team.
I just, I mean, come on, Team Cavs. No. None of the Cavs, Spurs were no. Give me the Rookies, because the Rookies will want it. The Rookies will actually want it. They'll actually, that means something to them. Yeah,
it does. All right, that's Saturday. We got the Rising Stars on Friday, the All-Star game as well on Sunday. It's going to be a fun weekend. Plural, showcasing things here in the NBA. By the way, Team Shaq is favored in the All-Star games, plus 100. There you go. All right, that's going to do it for this episode of Locked On NBA Game Night. We got you out of here in just under 30 minutes, covering everything you want to know around the league here. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, on Fridays, I'm your co-host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, and the host of Locked On Pelicans.
And I'm John Karalis, at John_Karalis on Twitter, host of Locked On Celtics.
Give us your picks for the dunk contest, 3-point contest, and skills contest down below in the comments, and we'll be back with y'all next week.